Welcome to another episode of Studies in the Fifth Dimension. Today we're back with Astropolis. I decided to do the video in two parts because I knew niggas was really gonna want, the Travis Scott information, and some motherfuckers was gonna be able to, get the whole lecture and shit like that. So I just chopped it up into two parts. Once again, we'll summarize the first part of the lecture. Astropolis, Astro World, Heliopolis, both mean sun world. When you break the words down, same God can be found in all these different cultures, from Greece, Rome, Egypt, Sumeria, and then on into Christendom. And so this is what we see. This is where we get this different God, who just so happens to be Zeus. When translated into the English Bible, it is just God, right? And so now what we're going to do is we're going to start getting more into the Travis Scott information. And, the whole point of the first part of the lecture was to explain the symbols behind the system that is keeping us at an ignorant state and why they're doing this. What they're doing essentially is using our symbols and then contributing it to some evil shit. Because the shit works, the magic works, you know what I'm saying? But it works in a way that it can keep them powerful and keep us ignorant. Okay? Because the fact of the matter is if we ever get a hold of our science, and if we ever get a hold of using this and expanding our awareness to the level of gods and things of that nature, we will be very powerful. We are very powerful. It's just, it's like having a shade pulled over you at all times, not truly being able to see what's literally right in front of your face. The way that I would compare it to, as far as what this reality is, it would be, it would be a video game. That would be because that's the only type of technology that we have at this point that I can use as an explanation for what the fuck I'm talking about this is, that we exist in and beyond. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into this, the primary information dealing with, the symbols in the Travis Scott lecture, tying that to Jupiter, tying that to Zeus, and then showing how they're using the symbols of the Christ, raising him up as a god, while in the same time, keeping people in their lower state of mind by using color magic, by using different symbols, by saying different things over and over again. And that is what the goal is, using our shit, to keep us at an ignorant state of mind, while at the same time being ruled over by this entity, that is going by many different names in many different cultures. And now in, everyday, television, there's a show on TBS, and they, it's a show about the future where the Titans are released in the future, and they're trying to save the Earth, and the Titans are going to destroy the Earth. And there's a Titan inside of the Earth, and there's this being named Invictus. It's an eye, this big ass eye, and it controls these titanic beings. It controls these beings and is creating this. But it is a soul-sucking entity that does not have power of its own, and if you read all of these books and you see the last lecture, we talk about this entity that was left to starve. They show this shit in the movies and the cartoons and things of that nature. And then what do? They play this ritual that they've been playing on screen in the cinema and shit. They play this shit live in front of your face with one of your favorite artists. So that's the ritual, They are talking about this, this dark being that once again sucks souls because it doesn't have power over itself. It's ignorant darkness, That's what it represents, ignorant darkness. Okay, and so what we're going to do is let's get forward into the symbols. I'll go ahead and break everything down because I'm getting ahead of myself. And let's go in. Alright. So let's go ahead and start reading the Messiah Speaks, a philosophical review of the Krishnamurti teachings. Okay, so sages of the past heralded the advance of consciousness as an expansion of the self as its coefficient of consciousness enlarged. not so SARS. The selfish, the selfish not to gain increase of its life and power as its consciousness widens and deepens. It is to be cast off so that the consciousness may be free of trammels. The sages envision the self of the individual as marching on from grade to grade of ever richer consciousness. Know ever Krishnamurti, the self is a goaler to consciousness and must be destroyed. India and Greece take different roads in this discussion. The first affirms that the self is to be overcome and dissipated. The other asserts that it expands until it is conterminous with the whole. Here again, the vast difference between a negative and an affirmative attitude toward life is seen. It expands until it is conscious with the whole. Here again, SARS says that the struggle of man to pass from group to individual consciousness was accomplished by means of the Titanic revolutions, which came recorded as fabled combat between the gods and the Titans. Similarly, the convulsions of the present era are epochs in the next phase of conflict now waged between man and the gods. It is asserted, this is a faulty envisagement. The gods are never arrayed against man, though man may struggle blindly against them. It was the God in man that fought the lower Titan forces for the very purpose of giving man his individuation. Okay? So he comes with it from a different perspective, but still gives you the perspective of the Titanic forces represent a period of time when we were connected, when we did not have physical bodies, but we were not subject to individuation. Okay, any later conflict, now current, is a continuation of that same Armageddon. It is the God in man that is in conflict with the Titan in man. Okay, so there is no other struggle. And when we deal with this, you deal with the Titan being the higher force. He's calling it the lower force, but beyond the individuation is pure consciousness. This is low. Third dimension is low. There's so much higher that we can go. Even just being here in physical bodies, we can go and we can astral travel. Okay? So let's move forward. Really, I wanted to show you, though, how this breaks down the Greek word Tatan, turns into the word Shaitan, and then becomes the word Satan. Okay? And so I'm saying all of this to tell you that we've been demonized. Us as a people, our character, us and our higher selves and our higher forms, and we've been subject to a state of ignorance so that we do not know ourselves. And that is the code, that is the key. Everything evil that they tell you is evil is actually about you. Is actually holding the secrets and the keys to who you are, and can awaken things in your DNA that will give you power here on this planet. Because once again, we come from something that is not physical. We come from the fifth dimension. We are higher beings. We're not of this place, but we are in this bitch. Okay, so let's go on. Alright, now let's get into Final Space. So, Final Space is a show on TBS, and let's go to the IDBM so I can give you the summary of the show. Alright, so this is Final Space. So, pretty much everything that's going to be consistent in the shows that I'm going to show you are going to be, so you're going to have the multiverse. Okay, for one, the multiverse is going to be really big. Dealing with multiple Earths, going to multiple Earths, getting things from multiple Earths like technology and resources and stuff like that to be able to sell here. You're going to see a lot of that. You know what I'm saying? But then you're also going to see a lot of taking that concept and then also taking that with time travel to create what you would call a structured timeline. Okay, so this structured timeline, and I'm going to show this with science and things of that nature, based on the Hadron Colliders and based on them opening gates and things of that nature, stargates and things like that, which allow them to, just like in the movie Deja Vu. If you ever watched that movie, what's the brother's name? Denzel Washington. They can go to certain change points, certain points in time where, you know, big events are happening, like let's say the Travis Scott concert, you know what I'm saying, where, you know, the perception on magic could have been a totally different way. You know, people could have accepted it a little bit more, started to, you know, he could have been a figure for something different, for consciousness, things of that nature, but instead he's seen as demonic, and, you know, people are seen, you know, are in a helpless state. It's, you know, some very fucked up shit. So what I'm saying is that they're creating a structured timeline in which they control, you know, the outcome, the desired outcome. They know that there has to be a specific type of destruction that happens, and the victors are always the, you know, the writers of history. You know what I'm saying? And so this whole ritual thing is about creating a perception, creating a story or a structured timeline that gets to them to the desired point that they want, which we see, you know, in all of these movies, is that future point where we have flying cars and, you know, but what is that system really going to look like? You know what I'm saying? So the way that you get there, the way that, you know, you do that is they have to stop the change that is happening on this planet. See, the Earth in 2012 went through a birthday. There was what was called a harmonic convergence. Okay, they say that all the planets didn't align, but what pretty much happened is Earth went through an upgrade, and now, you know, it's a little bit less. It's a little bit, you know, less dense as it was. The sun has a little bit less hold over it. We can go to the fifth dimension and go to higher dimensions at will. A lot of us are being, you know, are naturally psychic, and a lot of us can naturally see the future. A lot of us can do things that we, you know, that you may not necessarily be able to explain. A lot of things that people would call impossible. You know what I'm saying? Talking in each other's minds, all types of things, you know. And so, with that being said, with the Earth going through a change, we are also going through a change. Things in our DNA are opening up, and the ones that don't have that within their DNA, you know, is getting fucked up. You know what I'm saying? And that shit is fucking them up. And so the control system cannot keep control if the people that they are repressing and oppressing, you know what I'm saying, start to become conscious and start to become awakened and aware and start to be able to navigate this system any way that they please, right? So the control system, you know, its response is to alter the system in order to keep their control. Okay, so what you have now is, instead of, you know, what they had at the beginning of America, now black people are becoming the face of America. Okay, and the reason for that is because you have it's like a changing of the guards. You know, in this epoch we have to be on top. In this epoch we have to, you know, be fulfilled in a certain type of way. You know what I'm saying? And now what they're doing is giving us what you would call, how do you say it? They're appeasing us in a certain type of way, giving us shit we always should have had as just regular human beings. You know, what they call civil rights is just, you know, what about human rights? You know what I mean? And so when you deal with that from, you know, a higher perspective, you have to deal with the fact that, you know, our people are being used as a way to keep us ignorant. And that is what is happening now. The system is adopting a new framework in which our people have been put at the forefront. And it's like a changing of the guards. You know, now they hold all the keys and the locks, and it's in the hands of a certain few. You know what I'm saying? So you got a certain few of our people running the show, you know, and it looks like a black world, you know what I'm saying? But there's going to be a very, very big poverty gap for motherfuckers in the next coming, if you don't get on code with this virtual shit, you know what I mean? But they're going to be the forerunners. We're going to, all these rappers, all these entrepreneurs, they're going to be the forerunners. And that's what it is meant by, you know, this Titan, this Zeus, not Titan, this is God, this deity Zeus, using the Titans, us, our people, to, you know, keep the rest of our people ignorant. You know what I'm saying? And that's what this shit is about. That's what that whole Travis Scott shit was about. That's what the symbols were about. You know, you deal with this whole final space thing, and we go to the lecture. And, you know, this is what they're telling us, right? It's right in our face, which is the fucked up part, is that no one's ever gonna look here for this shit. No one's ever gonna be like, oh, I can learn some shit from this. No. But when you deal with the symbols, they said that there is a titan, a baby titan anyways, that is in the interior of the planet. Okay, it's the sun of the planet. You know what I'm saying? There's a titan in the planet, and they see all these other Earths, and there's a bunch of titans in these other Earths. When you deal with this shit, you know, you really have to deal with the fact that I've been telling everybody that we can tap into the mind of the planet, that we are the titans. Now they're coming out and saying that there is a titan in the middle of the planet, maybe a little baby titan, or a titan being birthed in the middle of the planet, right? Because our planet is going, like, once again, is going through an upgrade. It's awakening, right? These gods, the god and goddess, which is the mind of our planet, you know, is online right now. We can tap into that. Well, it's always been online, but we can tap into that. Now, what I'm gonna do is go further and show you, because you're gonna think I'm crazy until you actually see the shit. So this is the bad dude on fucking the show. You know what I'm saying? And once again, this is consistent in a lot of different shows. I'm just picking one that had the most consistent symbols. Okay. And then you'll find that there's always this dark god that's, you know, they're trying to stop from rising, you know what I'm saying? And then there's like the Messiah that comes, and usually this dark god, he sucks people's souls or takes people's energy or collects them in some types of way. It's always like taking, and you know, the Messiah or the Christ figure is always giving, you know what I'm saying? And that becomes the difference between the light and the dark. You get to see, you know, these different things parallel and showing a lot of things in magic. But this is you know, the evil character. This is Zeus, right? And look at this Travis Scott shit. I'm not playing with y'all. Look at this shit. Nigga, this shit was moving. This shit was like, it was the same thing as what I'm trying to tell you. It was a big ass eye. Shit was moving, you know what I'm saying? And then above it, which is hard to fucking see, but right above this shit, if you look up here, is a fucking flaming eagle. Okay, and to better help you motherfuckers see this shit, I got this shit, because, you know, they got the flaming shit right here, which, you know, they got the flaming hawk, and that was what was up there, was that flaming hawk and shit. Bird's eye view, dealing with the pineal gland. Okay, so what I'm telling you is they're taking all of our symbols and they're attributing it to some evil shit, when in actuality these are symbols of consciousness. Okay, but as we can see, you know, they're using them as, you know, to raise his brother up as a god, and then to demonize him by attributing it to, you know, the things that they demonize. When we look here, what we see here is Zeus. This isn't no devil shit. What I'm trying to tell you is that that's us. They're talking about, when anytime they mention the devil, they're talking about us in a way that, you know, they demonized us, because anything that goes against this system is evil, is bad. And if you look at the first part of the lecture, we fucking talked about Greek mythology in high school. That shit's not, you know, that's not evil, that's not sinister. We talked about Prometheus in high school, which is directly correlated in the Christian, you know, version of the Bible, you know what I'm saying? Or sorry, the English version of the Bible. You can clearly read, you know, the parallels in these stories between the, you know, the Lucifer and the Promethean story, talking about the God of consciousness, the God of the repressed, you know what I'm saying? And this is dealing with the God of, you know, the oppressor, the God of, you know, the kings and queens, the ones that, upheld the system, upheld the control system that kept us, you know, the ones who pretty much were created at a certain point in time, one of the earliest races, you know, kept us down and kept us down here ignorant of our own power, because we used to run shit, you know. And tapping into that, we will be running shit. We'll still be running shit. So this is just, you know, just a breakdown. So if you really go back to the first part of the lecture, you'll see, you know, exactly what I'm talking about. But this whole thing, you know, this God that keeps you in suffering, uses your suffering again. I'm telling you all the symbols of that. Uses your suffering against you. He fucking, and I'm talking about in the cartoon, and I'm talking about in the mythology. Uses your suffering against you. Motherfucker sucks everybody, sucks souls. Is the God over the physical dimension. Doesn't have power beyond the physical dimension. Also dealing with keeping people ignorant in an ignorant state, keeping people slaves. You know what I'm saying? This is that fucking God, and this God is the God that everybody is worshiping. You get what I'm saying? The God that has control over everybody's mind. And that's what this is about. This is the one. This is the God of those that are in power, the elite. Okay, that's keeping them in power. This is what I'm trying to say. That this is not attributed to some satanic shit. This is contributed to the shit that you are currently worshiping. Because when they connected on the internet to Baal, I want to show you. If you connect this shit to Baal, okay, you connect Baalbek is also known as Heliopolis. They're the same sun god. So what I'm telling you is, if you watch the first part of the lecture, I tell you who the fuck this god is. This is a sun god in different cultures. Okay? It is Baal in the Sumerian shit. Okay? So if you're calling this shit Baal, then you're telling people that, nigga, what we saw on stage was Jehovah. Was fucking Adonai, nigga. Was Zeus. This is what we saw on stage. The evil motherfucker that everybody's been worshiping, thinking that, you know what I'm saying, that is the God, that is the creator of everything, when in actuality he's only the ruler of the physical world, and only keeping your ass in ignorance. And then they using the same symbol, because what I showed you in the first lecture is that the same symbols are attributed to two different gods, because they're both the ruler gods. And when one god was replaced as the head, you know what I'm saying, was demonized, the symbols that were attributed to that other, to that other god were now attributed to the solar cult, which these symbols were pre-solar. They were attributed to the Titans. So, which just means us, and ancient group of black people that, got killed off and to make humanity. And that just means, coming from a point of oneness to a point of individuation. Okay, so I wanted to drop these gems and also just show you that I'm not bullshitting here. Okay, so if you look right here on the little Travis Scott thing on his album cover, you could clearly see that there's an Egyptian pharaoh here with the word world right by the Egyptian pharaoh, and he's doing the poses of the Egyptian pharaoh. I'll show you some Egyptian pharaoh just so you can get context for what I'm talking about. So hold on. All right, so let's look at this. So he's making the same exact pose. Okay, the same exact pose. If you look here, as this guy right here. Okay, and then if you look, it says world, okay? And so, world, and then what does this shit, almost like remind you of? Almost like the sun, you know what I'm saying? That shit almost kind of look like the sun, Almost kind of look like, this shit, hold on. Shit kind of remind me of this shit, you know what I'm saying? With the hands outstretched, you know what I mean? Coming down and feeding the people all enjoy, because you know what I'm saying, they get to go and revel in the world of their God, you know what I'm saying. And if you really look at this, what this is saying is, world is right there. And what world is this, nigga? This is the sun world. This is Heliopolis. This is the pharaoh world. The pharaohs were, sun kings. You know what I'm saying? The pharaohs were in descent of in the line of the sun god. You know what I'm saying? That's what they claimed. This is showing a pharaoh with the word world right there, and showing a globe right next to the shit. You know what I'm saying? And so, this is just what I'm saying. And the reason that I'm bringing this up is because what they're trying to do now is a virtue from the original title. So this is some low ass shit. I don't even really want to show you this low ass shit. I don't like it Fuck that shit. The reason that they're doing that is to get you away from looking at this. This is the most important part because this ties everything in. This shows you that they was raising this nigga up as a god, okay? And shows you what world that they're actually talking about. That this is astral world, but no, nigga, this ain't astral world, bro. This is Heliopolis. This is the sun world and the sun cult all over again, ruling your ass, okay? And stealing Zeus all over again with a new name, okay? And so that's what we see. We also, if we go to the 23, because this God that we're dealing with represents the 5, it represents the lowest nature, okay? It represents the 5th out of 7, okay? And, you know, it also deals with the wood, okay? It deals with the woods. It deals with the wood. It deals with the color red. It deals with the number 5. If you deal with the video 2-3, the whole video breaks down to being about that. They use Kemetic symbols. They use Baphomet, but they use a lot of the color red. They use a lot of wood. They use a lot of things pertaining to vegetation, pertaining to fertility, to show you that who this God is, okay? And, you know, like I said, they raised him up as a god, and that's just what they did. So the whole thing that they are doing with Travis Scott, just to summarize this whole lecture once again, is they're using Travis Scott and other rappers, okay, to avert you from consciousness and get you into fundamentalism, okay, and to move you into saving this system, into being more a part of this system, being a bigger part of keeping this system afloat. Instead of just being oppressed by it, you are going to become it. And that is the point. Okay? Which, you know, it's not going to be bad to be in a world, you know, where black faces are the judges and the policemen and on TV and shit like that. I'm not saying that that's going to be a bad thing. I'm not saying that that's, you know, there's not going to be benefits to, you know, the change. But there is going to be a lot of hell to it as well. And the fucked up part about it is a lot of our brothers and sisters may be in on the secret, or are in on the secret, you know, of using this science against us, using these rituals to keep us at a low vibratory state, so that we cannot raise, because the change is happening now, because the planet is going through a change, and because we have gone through a change, and our DNA is opened up, and we can access so much more. We can go to the 5th dimension, and we can deal with the mind of this planet, which just so happens to be the God and Goddess given in all forms on this planet. So every name that you can think of, you know, that deals with, you know, the pre-solar gods and things of that nature, the gods of consciousness, the gods that raise you know, your awareness and things, not just the gods that, you know, are of terrestrial things and natural forces, or spirits that are of terrestrial things and natural forces. So this is the, you know, how I wanted to summarize it, and how I really wanted to give it, you know, to my people, and give it to you guys, and just let you know that this shit is just, it's really a compendium of symbols that come from us, come from some really ancient shit that were taken at a point in time that were used to rule us and keep us at a certain low state. And if we use these same symbols, we can actually go to a high level of awareness, because all they've done is shown us pictures of ourselves, you know what I'm saying, from a higher state, our God selves, you know what I'm saying, show us symbols and programmed our mind to think that this is evil. But once in every while, one of us wakes up because we question that shit. But this has been another episode of Studies in the 5th Dimension. Peace.